Hey guys, new video. It has been brought to my attention. Everybody's favourite unplayable dredge card, Flame-Kin Zealot, a mainstay of the deck, originally printed in what? Guild Pact? I'm gonna check actually. Fairly certain it was Guild Pact. Might have just been Ravnica actually. It might have just been Ravnica. It was just Ravnica, not Guild Pact. Sorry, very sorry. Can't remember my original Ravnica sets very well. Very smooth brained. Flame-Kin Zealot has been power creeped. A card released 18 years ago has been power creeped out of the dredge lists. Not that anyone was running Flame-Kin Zealot anyway. I'll get to my thoughts on Flame-Kin Zealot and on this card, having done zero testing with it. But Flame-Kin Zealot has been power creeped out by the new Doomskar Titan. The advantage of Doomskar Titan being that it's a 4/4. So when Doomskar Titan enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+0 and haste until end of turn. If you remember Flame-Kin Zealot, that gives all creatures +1/+1 and haste until end of turn. But Flame-Kin Zealot is only a 2/2, so you're missing out on pumping your creature's toughness, and in exchange you're gaining 2 power total across the all your creatures, which is actually a pretty big deal, because what it means is before with Flame-Kin Zealot you'd need Flame-Kin Zealot itself for 3 damage, and then you'd need 6 other zombies also all contributing 3 damage to make a total of 21. With Doomskar Titan you can get away with having 5 zombies plus the Doomskar Titan itself for an exact 20. In reality, a lot of the time with fetches and stuff, you could hypothetically kill with less, but this is obviously an upgrade. Now the downside is that you're not pumping toughness, but I would say that was never anything relevant. If your zombies were getting made smaller, as long as they weren't instantly dying, it didn't matter. And if they were instantly dying, you wouldn't be able to pump them anyway. So for example, if there were 2 Plague Engineers and play naming zombie, you wouldn't have been able to pump them with Flame-Kin Zealot anyway, so the toughness wasn't relevant. The only times it would have been relevant would be like the Dredge mirror, where you need to like beat through a bunch of other 2/2s, and it helped to have an extra toughness. But honestly, you'd side out Flame-Kin Zealot in the Dredge mirror anyway. It's not a card that you want to keep in, I don't think. So basically, as far as I'm concerned, this is a strict upgrade. Also, in terms of hardcast ability, you might think, oh, well, it costs 6. Hypothetically, you could hardcast Flame-Kin Zealot. It costs 4, even though 3 of that is non-blue mana, which is actually very difficult if you run the maths on it with only 9 sources. Well, I guess 10 if you count the Lotus Petal. With only 10 gold sources, hitting 3 of them and hitting 3 of them plus no more than 1 Cephalid Colosseum is actually quite unlikely. Whereas with Doomskar Titan, it has Foretell. So I think that's still more than Flame-Kin Zealot. But the thing with Foretell is that you can actually cast Foretell cards with LED mana. So hypothetically, what you could do is, if like this is not going to show up, just like it's not going to show up that you ever hardcast Flame-Kin Zealot. Maybe you do it like once in like every 300 games or something. This actually becomes relevant. But you could hypothetically hardcast Doomskar Titan off of just 2 lands and an LED, which I think is much more likely to happen than that you have 4 lands and 3 of them are gold. That's actually like quite unlikely, maths wise. So Doomskar Titan, I think, is a strict upgrade for the deck, being able to kill with 1 less zombie, and just providing 2 more power overall. Now, Flame-Kin Zealot as a concept, I don't like very much. One, it does not help you beat things that beat you otherwise anyway. So for example, if you're under an ensnaring bridge and your opponent has no cards in hand, having a Flame-Kin Zealot doesn't help you beat the ensnaring bridge. Whereas Ashen Rider does. Same with Glacial Chasm. If you're Glacial Chasm locked, Flame-Kin Zealot's useless, but Ashen Rider gets you out of that. In just about every matchup, except the ones where they just turn one you, Stone Raining them twice generally just wins you the game. Or not Stone Raining, but taking their 2 best permanents. So say, for example, you're against like Ant, you can take their LED and a land. Like, they generally can't win a game at that point. It's generally borderline impossible for them to come back from that. Even if it doesn't guarantee the game is over, Ashen Rider's generally good enough to end the game on the spot. And that it helps you in the situations where it's not. So obviously there are a few matchups, like for example against Oops All Spells, Ashen Rider is not actually a very relevant card. But even if you're trying to like target those specific matchups, I think for the other reason I don't like Flame-Kin Zealot very much, that being that in order to kill with Flame-Kin Zealot, you need to be able to post Dread Return have 6 zombies in play, or with Doomskar Titan 5 zombies in play. That's actually quite difficult to do, and it's much easier just to cast a Dread Return. But if you're just Dread Returning and you're not killing them on the spot with Flame-Kin Zealot, you may as well just Dread Return a Grave Troll most of the time. Like against Ant, it's relevant to put them on low life so they can't like add nauseum or something. But in reality, Dread Returning and not instantly killing with Flame-Kin Zealot is generally about as effective as just Dread Returning a Grave Troll in terms of ending the game. You could still very easily lose against a lot of the matchups. So rather have a guaranteed relevant target in something like Iona or Ashen Rider if I'm specifically targeting the degenerate matchups or I just want to kill them quick. That's the reason why I think Flame-Kin Zealot has fallen out of favour pretty much completely in terms of Dredge decks. It used to be a very big thing back in the mid to late 2000s. It used to be the kill of choice, but I think people realised that in reality you don't need to have the pump effect to win the game. Often you just win the game off of just making enough zombies, especially with Hogaak nowadays. Just putting an 8/8 in play is often just easier. I mean, you don't need to assemble a 2 1-card combo. Now maybe if you're running a list with more copies of Dread Return and like an extender like a main deck Ox, then you could make an argument that you're more likely to end up in these combo kill situations, and as such Flame-Kin Zealot's more relevant, but you're dedicating a lot of deck slots for that with like 2 Dread Returns, Ox and a Flame-Kin Zealot, and all of those cards are just dead cards in your opening hand. With the London Mulligan, I think having cards that are relevant in your opening hand is more relevant than ever. And we're playing Dredge, guys. We already have 4 Narcomoebas, 4 Bridges, 3 Icarids, a Hogaak, and then like, or 4 Icarids and then like an Ox of Agonis, all of which are just dead cards, just complete bricks in the opening hand. That's like a solid fifth of the deck just being like brick cards. Adding more to try and get like some percentage points, I think overall you end up losing percentage points with that sort of mentality. I don't think it's very good, but being able to kill with less zombies should, in theory, make Doomskar Titan more powerful than Flame-Kin Zealot was. And that's what we're going to try and find out today. I've not tested Flame-Kin Zealot very much, but that's the aim of this video. We're going to see how effective Doomskar Titan is compared to Flame-Kin Zealot, whether there's even a reason to have this sort of effect in the deck. I've gone onto my reasoning on why I don't specifically like Flame-Kin Zealot very much. As I said, I think if generally Ashen Rider is good enough in just about every matchup, and the matchups where Ashen Rider isn't good enough, Iona I think does a better job most of the time. Or even if you for some reason don't like Iona, you can go for Archon of Valor's Reach. They generally both end the game in the matchups where you want them. Let's just go over what we're dealing with here. pretty much the same list from last time, except we are doing the swap I talked about you can do, where we put the Icarid and the Oxymogonus, which in my last video were in the main deck. They're going into the sideboard so that we can hopefully get more Doomskar Titan kills because it's in the main deck. The board's completely the same as the last video. Fairy Macabre's Leyline split to try and fight Oops. One Chalice of the Void to try and fight Echo Stompy. A weird selection of graveyard hate answers, or leyline answers specifically. None of these deal with Grafdigger's Cage because it's easier just to pretend Grafdigger's Cage doesn't exist. I think that's the biggest EV play. Until people start running 2-3 cages in their sideboards, sideboarding for one of cages I don't think is worth your time. Let's run it through a league, hopefully get some sick Doomskar Titan kills, make some nice thumbnails, have some good fun. This will be an enjoyable league. I think this will be a lot of fun to try and kill people with Doomskar Titan. Round 1 against Phil Lesh. I can't keep that, doesn't do anything. This hand is bad against Wasteland, however it is good against other stuff. I am going to bottom the Drebiton, so we will not see any Doomskar Titan plays this game, sadly. But it is what it is. I'm leading on Putrid Imp. The reason I'm doing this is I find leading on Putrid Imp tends to discourage people from wastelanding you, whereas leading on looting, I find people wasteland you more. I don't really know why that is. I think maybe it's to do with the fact that Putrid Imp shows that we're not digging. So okay, this man has all the forces, but that's fine. That's the reason why we keep hands with no dredges and like 4 enablers, so that we can beat these stupid non-stop force hands that Delver puts out nowadays. If we get wastelanded here, this is like really bad, but I mean we could draw a land. Hopefully we don't. This is part of the reason why I don't like Gemstone Mine. We kept a 1 land hand. With the... perfect. We drew an actual land. We kept a 1 land hand, and it was a gemstone mine. And if we didn't draw running lands there, we were like actually in a really bad spot. Do I want to break through X's 1 here? I think I actually do, because he's brainstorm locked himself. I mean, it's possible that he draws exactly... it's possible that he draws exactly Wasteland off the top, but I think that's unlikely, unless he brainstormed and saw a Wasteland and put it on top and then doesn't crack the fetch so he can Wasteland me here. If he does Wasteland me, he's almost definitely going for the Cephalid Colosseum, I expect, given that we're going to be left with 1 card in hand. So I think keeping Faithless Looting to keep the Dredge chain going more likely, if we brick on Dredges, is more relevant here than keeping Breakthrough. But if he wastelands our Mana Confluence as like some like absolutely genius 5-head play, we get punished here. But I'm actually going to keep the Faithless Looting, because you've got to think, okay, what's the worst thing that happens? The worst thing that happens here is he wastelands our Cephalid Colosseum, and then we dredge on the Stinkweed Imp and we miss. Faithless Looting enables us to restart the Dredge chain, and then hopefully hit like another enabler to keep on going, whereas Breakthrough just guarantees we're empty-handed. Yeah, it does dig more cards, but I think the odds of hitting something good off of Faithless Looting that we can keep in hand is more relevant than the odds of... so he just took a natural draw, which made me think maybe he does actually have the Wasteland. Now, if he's really smart, he'll take Mana Confluence. But if he's not so smart, he will... okay, I don't understand why he didn't crack his fetch there. I actually don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. I would almost definitely have cracked the fetch there. because you don't want to be drawing lands in this situation. That's like really bad. So yeah, we've managed to beat 3 forces here without too much difficulty. He's probably like, I hate Dredge. It's such a stupid deck played by bad players and they just cheese wins. But really, he could have very easily beaten us if we took a hand that was like less enabler heavy. If we didn't have such an enabler heavy hand, we'd have just lost. And you have to keep these enabler heavy hands because of how powerful Delver is nowadays. If you're not keeping these enabler heavy hands, I think you're making a mistake. So this is just lethal unless he's got something. I expect him to just scoop here. Yeah. Dread Return and Doomskar Titan comes out in this matchup much like we take out Ashen Rider and Dread Return in this matchup, because it's not relevant. You'd rather have an Ox of Agonis, it's just better. Breakthrough comes out because it's really bad to draw in multiples. You never want to see 2 breakthrough hands against Delver, because if you're operating off 1 land, which you often are to try and play around days, like not you're operating off, but like if you have 2 lands, you don't want to play Breakthrough X's 1. Play Breakthrough X's 2 to keep a breakthrough in hand when you could play it for X's 1 to play around days. This is not keepable. It does nothing. This is also not keepable. It does nothing. On a 5, I will actually keep this because it's got land. It's got 3 lands, and it's got. I mean, Cabal Therapy is not the enabler you want, but it's better than nothing. We could go to 4 to try and find like a looting breakthrough whatever hand. But honestly, I'd rather just keep a 5 and hope to get some good top decks. An open blue mana makes me think maybe he's holding up Flusterstorm, maybe he was holding up Spell Pierce, so playing out Putrid Imp here makes more sense anyway. Also, I'd play out the Putrid Imp first anyway, just because, yeah, Force Pitch Flusterstorm. This is why Putrid Imp is so strong against these Delver decks. It can't get Force of Negation, it can't get Flusterstorm, can't get Spell Pierced. It is a nightmare card. It allows you to bluff having multiple dredges. It is a must Force of Will card, and it's part of the reason why I play a 3-2 split rather than a 2-3 split of I mean, we could get double dazed here for not playing out the Lotus Petal, but I think keeping the Lotus Petal in hand in case we want to be in a situation like this where we want to discard the Lotus Petal is more relevant. I kind of like just playing out Putrid Imp here. If he's got a daze, he's got a daze. I don't think he has a daze because I feel like he'd have dazed me last turn instead of Force Pitch Fluster. Okay, he just really wanted to get the Sylvan Library out. Or he top deck dazed. Either way. Maybe it was better to play Cabal Therapy there and play around days on the Putrid Imp, but like I am not that fussed, to be honest. He kept twice, which I think is just the correct play, just because you want to just dig. You just want to dig. I'm just going to do this named Surgical, I think. Force Uro. Sure. Okay, that's annoying. Maybe Force was a better name. I'm just going to cast Narcomoeba here. Maybe we get Wastelanded. I don't really care. If he wants to force my Narcomoeba, he can force my Narcomoeba. This is not looking good because we didn't draw a Dredger and we got like repeatedly forced. If we had a Putrid in play, we would be in a much better spot right now because we'd be pressuring, and anytime we draw a Dredger we'd be good. Maybe playing around, not playing around days there was just greedy. But honestly, I didn't think he'd have it. But maybe he just, I mean, he did draw 3 off Sylvan Library, so maybe that was, I mean, no, he hadn't drawn off Sylvan Library at that point, had he? I don't know. Maybe it was maybe that was bad. Maybe that was loose. Maybe we should have just cast Cabal Therapy, named like Force or something. I don't know. I don't know. If we get Wastelanded here, this is pretty much a good game. We're relying on the Cephalid Colosseum to like get us out of this bad situation. Not paying any life. Okay, there's the Tropical Island we saw. There's an Uro. Uro draws him a card. Maybe he puts a. Oh no, he doesn't. So he's potentially holding up 2 forces here. Best top deck here is actually Stinkweed Imp. Stinkweed Imp is the best top deck here. I mean, I'm not going to play the Narcomoeba, so just going to cast that. So this is the new Rug Delver with Uros. Obviously Uro is a bit of an awkward card for us because it exiles our bridges, but the fact that they're on Uros means that they generally won't have cage, so that's a good thing. It just means you got to fight through a lot of surgicals, but that's doable. The main problem, Sylvan Library is just a very annoying card. Oh, he can't escape Uro. That's really funny. I was like scared of an Uro coming down this turn. The good thing is that he's not holding up 2 forces here. If he swings with Tarmogoyf, we can block with a Narcomoeba, and then that enables our Cephalid Colosseum, which is pretty big actually. Swinging him with a Narcomoeba just to get some damage in. If he wants to bolt a Narcomoeba to get him for 5 with Tarmogoyf, I'm completely fine with that. I'm not playing out the land here because it makes Cephalid Colosseum more powerful. One thing to note about these Uro Rag Delver lists is they often run Stifle because they can stifle their own Uro, which is quite cute. It's like some like ghetto stifle Naught, except if Dreadnought ramped you, gained you life, and drew you cards instead of being a vanilla 12/12 trampler. Which is kind of gross, really, when you actually think about it. Uro's just a grotesque card. I mean, Oko was like even more grotesque. The fact that often when people play Uro, you're like, oh, thank God it's Uro, not Oko. Just goes to show how stupid Oko was. I mean, if he's going to do that, I'm fine with that, honestly. Like, I'm more scared of him taking my bridges. Far more scared of him taking my bridges. Wow, he actually is bolting Narcomoeba, but I guess he wants to return Uro this turn. I mean, I think that he was wanting to return Uro. Wow, yeah, Tarmogoyf has gotten small. Oh, that's really nice. So what we can do here is we can just play out Golgari Thug. I'm not even gonna do anything, I think, this turn, because we won't have enough cards in graveyard anyway. But Oh wait, no, we kind of do need to do that actually. I'm just going to play it out, see what happens. If he has another bolt, we get kind of screwed here. But if we don't, it's fine. If he doesn't, it's fine. Forcing this is 100% wrong. So I think if we... If we do nothing here, I think he still attacks. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I kind of really don't like I was thinking, oh, maybe we have to, because we want to get the dredges going, but like I'm actually scared of like him filling his graveyard up with stuff and us being in a bad spot. I think he wants to just attack with Uro to get the Uro trigger, right? It seems super greedy, but I think he will. I think it's wrong as well. I think it's straight up wrong to do that. Also, if he's got like a bolt, we do just die if we sack this, whereas this sort of plays around bolt, whereas the other play didn't. Like if we sack this, put that on top, we can take force, but if he gets a bolt on top, he just bolts an Archimedes and just kills us straight up. I think this is actually the better play. Oh, that's just terrible. That's just really bad. Wait, we can't have 6 anymore. Now what we can do now is, because we've got an extra card in graveyard, we can do this. Now we might get stifled. If we get stifled, we get stifled. It is what it is. Doop. 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 Need to hit an Archimedes here to not be dead. We are dead. We are dead. We are dead. I can cast this, but we are dead. Because we know he's got force in hand. That was a frustrating game. If we didn't get the Putrid Imp dazed there, I think we were fine. But we did, so we were not fine. I think that was probably the punt that game, not casting Cabal Therapy and letting that potentially get dazed. But it's fine. It was like close, I think. But yeah, in hindsight, that was the mistake we made there. I think if we had a Putrid Imp in play, I think we just win that without too much trouble. Mulligan, can't keep this. Yeah, well, I'll keep this. I'll keep this. Now the question is, do we want to keep the Faithless Looting or the Dredger? I think, given that we can't actually cast Faithless Looting in this situation, I keep the Dredger. We've not seen a Wasteland at all in any of the games, so maybe he doesn't actually have Wasteland. But this is like a very Wasteland-me line. Like, this is just begging to get Wastelanded. If he has Force into Daze, we're like in a really bad spot here. Maybe it was better to keep the Faithless Looting. It's possible that that was a punt. Like if we draw whatever here. But let's just keep forcing him to have answers. I was just thinking to play around Surgical if he's got like a Surgical hand, but it's probably more likely he just has Wall of Counters hand. Okay, sure. This was what I was afraid of. Force into Daze, then Brainstorm afterwards. If we top deck Goldland here, I feel like an idiot for not keeping the Faithless Looting. It was probably a punt, actually. I'm probably correct too. Oh, that really sucks. Yeah, definitely if we top deck Goldland now. That was bad. First wasteland we've seen in 3 games, and it's the worst one possible. Though we could have drawn a land in any of these previous turns, and it would have got us out of this, I think. I think if I draw a land, I don't even try and get the second land, I just try and cast Breakthrough X to 0, or I just go to hand size. Maybe that's actually the correct play at this point. Huh. Yeah, we should have definitely kept the looting. I think I just do this. If we had looting here, this is so much better. So much better. I mean, we'd have got that forced anyway, but we'd have had a follow-up of the breakthrough the turn after. So we've been forced, dazed, forced again, forced pitching force. Forced pitching force makes me think he's got another force. I don't want to play out Golgari Thug here because I think he'll just kill it. But yeah, like if we kept the Faithless Seizing here, we're in so much of a better spot. That was a punt. If he Uros here, this is like absolutely terrible. Okay, it's not Uro, that's fine. Sylvan Library's basically Uro though. Yeah. I'm actually going to play this out now. If we get bolted, this is bad, but I mean, you know what else is bad? What's going on right now? Yeah, not keeping the looting was a punt. Not keeping the looting was a punt. Of course he blind flips bloody Delver off Brainstorm. That's really awful. Horrendous stuff. We need to draw like really well here. Like really well. Yeah, I should have kept that. Should have kept that looting. Should have kept that looting. I was trying to play around surgical too much, but I don't think it's relevant. If Grave Troll gets surgical, I think that's less problematic than like what's happened here happens. If you get me, like we just die to a wall of counter spells. Oh, he didn't realise he can attack there. I guess that's free EV, I suppose. If this gets countered, I'm going to be mad. If this gets forced, I'm going to be real mad. Real mad. Didn't get forced. Okay. That's good. I think we do cast this here. We don't swing. We need to get very lucky on our dredges here. Need to get very lucky on our dredges. Oh, I can't F6 here actually. F6 in here is actually really bad. If you like bolts of Golgari Thug. We are looking for an Archimedes. Not an Archimedes. But we are not dead yet. So we have to block both of these. We are basically dead here. I think it was still a tough game, even if we kept the Faithless Looting there, but we were in a way better situation. If we did keep the Faithless Looting, I think maybe we could have dragged ourselves out of that. Yeah. But it is what it is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't think we were winning that anyway. Oh well, that's annoying. Sucks to lose to Delver, but that's generally how it goes. Like, you generally lose to like wards of counterspells more than you lose to hate. Like, he surgicaled out Icarid when we returned 0 Icarids all game last game. Like, it wasn't relevant. We lost because he just kept forcing us repeatedly. Not keepable. Loses to force. You see why I aggressively mull to hands that beat lots of forces. Like, that hand beat lots of forces, but it also got screwed over by it because it got wastelanded, and he had like force into days. We didn't draw a second land when we needed to. Like, I'm not going to play around days there. Playing around days there, just saying draw goes, just like a nothing play. Like, they just wasteland you and then cantrip will play a Delver, and then you're just so behind. Like, you'd rather they daze you and then go, I don't know, like, they have to wasteland you and have no other play on that turn, and then you can hopefully draw out of it. You're better off just playing into the dazes. I'm like almost certain at this point. Bottom Icarid, bottom Narcomoeba. Keep this. Play this. Putrid Imp. This is going to be all Delvers all day. I mean, I'm happy with that. Oh no, this is Infect? I don't think it's Infect. What is this? This just some bug Zenith nonsense? I'm going to name Force of Will here. Again, part of the reason why I did this pre-combat and didn't attack with the Putrid Imp first is because the odds of being in a situation like this, I think, are greater than the odds where you are prevented from attacking because you dredge into like a bridge or something. Obviously it doesn't matter here because it has flying anyway, but you want to, like, if you only hit one bridge but you hit an Archimedes and Hogaak, you want to be able to cast Hogaak. Fauna, Shaman can go away. I don't think this is a deck with Tarmogoyfin, but we will exile all of the artifacts anyway. Cast Hogaak. This game's pretty much over, I expect. Even if you rip Skoos off the top, there's still racist Skoos. What a strange deck. I was hoping I'd get my revenge on Delver. I mean, sometimes they do just have it right. Like, every deck can lose to Delver. I think there were a couple of positions, like, I think not keeping the looting there was a punt, even though it was uncastable in that hand. If we draw a gold land, it does become castable, and then we can use it to beat lots of counter spells. And then in the game before that, where we let the Putrid Imp get dazed rather than just playing around daze. Yeah, both of those were a bit loose. Both of those were a bit loose. So what is this, like ban Fauna Shaman nonsense? I think I just bash here. This is bad if Hogaak gets bad if Hogaak gets ploughed, but like I'd rather just bash, I think. Yeah, I didn't think he'd block. Trying to think what cards I actually care about here. Knight of the Reliquary is one of them, but like still won't win him the game. I don't really know. Just sort of guessing here. I've got no idea what he's playing. Maybe I should be eating all of the sorceries to try and shrink a Tarmogoyf. Okay, so what's his grave hate going to be? Ley lines? It's possible. Could well be ley line. But anyway, I don't think Doomskar Titan's especially relevant. I do like having Ox against these sort of decks because they sometimes have Containment Priest and it's nice to just have the Ox. I don't know if we expect we're going to get leylined or not. It looks like enough of a nonsense deck that I'm just going to side for leylines. Often when you're like these random decks just are on leylines, even though they shouldn't be. I don't think he's got forces based on the fact that I saw like Ether Vials, Mother of Runes, Fauna Shamans, Green Sun Zenith, none of which are cards that pitch to Force of Will, but maybe he's like actually a genius and is able to. This isn't keepable, I don't think. I mean, we can do better. No. Go to 4, I guess. Okay. Right. Arcs of Agonis isn't actually a relevant card when it's on the bottom 3 of your deck because you can't actually ever escape it because it just loses you the game. Obviously, if it gets shuffled by a surgical or whatever, it's not a problem. I mean, it would have been nice to draw something that wasn't Wismar, but I guess it pitches. I don't think he has Force, which is the reason why I'm not playing out Lion's Eye Diamond first here. But he actually does have Force. Okay. I mean, that's fine, I guess, because we have a second Freighter Sleeting. Faithless Looting's the correct name here, though he might name Cabal Therapy. Oh wow. Why would he? Okay. I mean, I'm fine with it, I guess. Wow, that really sucks. Oh wait, we can bounce it with Stern Dismissal. That's actually relevant. Still, I'll discard this and this. This is one of the things about Stern Dismissal. Being able to bounce creatures is actually very relevant. In the Elves matchup where you expect leylines, sometimes they keep hands that aren't leyline hands but can turn to askews off of going Turn 1 Green Sun Zenith into turn 2 skews. And you can bounce their Dryad Arbor, which you can't do, well, Lamau, but you can't do that with Chain of Vapor, which is funny, because that's not the reason why we play the card. We play it for not being able to bounce our Leylines back against Hogaak, while also being able to answer Marit Lage and Leyline of the Void out of Rainbow Depths. Yeah, go away. Shoo. Shoo, shoo, shoo. I wonder if he forces this. That'd be funny. Wow. I'm gonna cast this just in case we wanna... Okay. This is fine. This is fine. I'm actually just gonna try and go for it here, I think. Waiting seems bad. I'm going to name Meddling Mage just because he can replay it on something like Cabal Therapy, which is just a problem. Oh, Peacekeeper's a problem, we have no answer to that. So I will take it now. Again, Peacekeeper is another card that Ashen Rider is able to answer, and it's a card that's main decked by Espervile. It was part of the reason why I started main decking part of the reason I started main decking Ashen Rider, because I was like, Espervile's a complete trash pile. I shouldn't be losing to this complete trash can deck. Also, lol, this Leovold's like uncastable. I shouldn't be losing to this trash can deck just because they're cheesing me out of games with Peacekeeper. I refuse to let this happen to me. I will play main deck Ashen Rider, and then you will be the one who is cheesed, Espervile players, and you will feel my wrath. That was exactly how my mental conversation went. If he blocks here, I'm fine with that. I mean, we're going to lose the bridges at some point. I'm happy to trade a blocker for like a bridge now. Rather than later, especially since it takes some pressure off of us with the Exalted trigger, and it removes a mana from him as well. Maybe it's a greedy attack, maybe we should just be trying to get zombies out, but I mean, we're going to lose our bridges at some point, right? Okay, he does block, which I'm fine with. Hilariously, if he draws Brainstorm here, getting rid of that also prevents him from casting Leovold if he manages to Brainstorm into another land, because he's only got one blue source. I mean, he might vial something in and trade, but I'm not going to not swing here. It would be really nice to hit like the Ox or another looting or something. Yeah, that'd be nice. He can Violin Leovold now, which is an annoyance of a card, but like is not going to lose us the game. It just means that therapies are really bad after Leovold comes down. It doesn't stop us dredging. You can still dredge through Leovold, just like you can dredge through Narset. It's not a card that stops you from dredging multiple times a turn. Dredge is, when you dredge you never draw, so I take one here. I don't want to lose my bridge. I'm happy to take one and not lose my bridge. Again, I could get blown out by something being vialed in here. In fact, yeah, I'm just going to attack with the Ichrid, obviously, because he can vial in Leovold. God, these dredges, man. Oh wait, we know where a thing is. They're on the bottom of our deck. That's part of the reason why we can't find them. Okay, so we got somewhat punished for trading the Ichrid earlier, because we'd have had like a bunch more zombies in play now. This kind of sucks. He's going to vial in Leovold, but that does shuffle our deck, which is very relevant. What is this? That's scary. Don't violin now. I'm terrified. Oh god. Scavenging ooze. Okay. I think we actually lose now. Yep. Okay. So we know he doesn't have ley lines. I'm just going to scoop it up there. Maybe we punted a little bit swinging into the Noble Hierarch. But we got a bit unlucky on the dredges. I did kind of forget what was on the bottom of the deck. So all of these come back in. These two come back in. Could have the fourth Ichrid over a Putrid Imp. Maybe that's better. In fact, maybe the Putrid Imp's better than the Careful Study in this matchup. I want to go fast. It's sort of like Maverick crossed with like a blue deck. So I want to go fast. I like the idea of having Lotus Petals and dodging Force of Negations for some reason. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I keep this. Every day I keep this. I'm going to discard these two, play out Lotus Petal, and just pass turn. I'm not going to do anything else. The reason I'm not is there is no need to. I'm not afraid of him doing anything on turn one. I mean, maybe he cages me and I feel like an idiot, but I'm not playing around cage. What's worse here Yeah, like look, he just surgicals me when I have another dredger in graveyard. That's not a winning play. Like it's possible if I looting there, he he what was I gonna say? It's possible if I looting there that he doesn't surgical me straight away, or he does surgical me straight away, then I brick on dredges, and then wastelands me, and then that's really bad. Like, look, he's got double surgical. Okay, like, yeah, fine, sure. It feels stupid if I top deck Stinkweed Imp. It's a 4 of in my deck. Like, it's not like I've got no odds of this happening. It's not an impossible thing to conceive, and then I have a Putrid Imp. I like playing Putrid Imp here. It doesn't dig for Stinkweed Imp, but what it does do is it means if we find Stinkweed Imp, we never brick on dredges again. Now obviously we could get ploughed, but given the deck's running like Force of Negations, Force of Wills, all these different other creatures, if he has plough as well, it's like, okay. You got me, dude. You got me. I'm not going to cast Faithless Looting here because we'll just be empty-handed, and I'm also not going to swing into a potential Mother of Runes block on the Putrid Imp. I really don't want that to happen. I think he'd probably do that trade. Obviously, if this is Noble Hierarchical, yeah, like a Birds, that feels stupid. That's really nice, but again, I don't want to cast this Faithless Looting just yet. I'm happy to wait. Maybe that's bad if he has like his one of Leovold, but like, oh well. I could also just like top deck a Stinkweed Imp, and then this is like really, really good for me. Like ridiculously good for me. This is Scavenging Ooze, that's like abysmal for us. Like really bad. We need to like go off next turn. I mean, it's conceivable if we find a Stinkweed Imp we can go off next turn. But like, still, having a Scavenging Ooze in play is really bad. Especially if these represent any like relevant cards, that's like abysmal as well. Okay. Let's try and go for it. It's not getting any better. Discard, discard. Do it. So we can crack both. Three blue and a red. Or maybe it's better to just... I think it's better to just shuffle the Colosseum twice here. That's good. I think we just have to hope to dredge into the nuts here. Ugh, so awkward that we hit the ox there and we can't go off. So awkward. Just a turn too slow with the scavenging ooze. Frustrating. I mean, he did have double surgical scavenging ooze. Like, okay, you got me. You got me. Maybe there was a different way to tap our lands to play around that happening. I don't think so. I don't think so. Don't think there was anything we could do there. If he eats both my stinkweed imps and my ox, like I just scoop pretty much. The only reason I'm playing his, I don't know, maybe he doesn't eat ox and we get to draw a land and then escape ox. But yeah, I think this is pretty much over. I think I'd block here to try and encourage him to eat the bridge. Wow, not eating the ox straight away there is super duper greedy. Somewhat scared why Ether Vials ticked up to 4 as well. That's spooky. That is very spooky. Atraxa. Flying Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink, Proliferate. Yeah, no, we're not beating this. I'm scooping it up, boys. Sorry to disappoint you, but we're not beating this. It's not happening. That's frustrating. The double surgical really got us there, but there's not much you can do. Sometimes they draw all their hate. We were slightly too slow at drawing another stinkweed imp. I don't think we did anything wrong there. Like, sometimes you just lose to hate that. Alright, let's try and win this. Redeem our honour. This is a keep. Sneep, sneep, keep. Discard these two. Flooded Strand, sure. I'm gonna name Force of Will here. I'm not actually scared of Daze too much. I mean, if he wastes us next turn, then that's bad. But I'm gonna name Force of Will. Okay, he's got Daze, Stifle, Brainstorm. So if he brainstorms into, well, he can't even do that because we're gonna return Icarid and then Flashback Therapy if he wastelands us here. Oh, he doesn't even bother trying to dig for it. He just casts a Tarmogoyf. That's not a winning play, my friend. You unless he just top decked Force of Will, in which case he's like God Gamer. But I'm not going to play around top deck Force of Will. Nice, Doomskar Titan boys. No reason to attack here, doesn't do anything. Given he has Brainstorm and Ponder, I'm actually going to take Stifle here because Stifle is actually really annoying next turn. Stifle on the one Icarid trigger we have is like really frustrating for us here. And like taking Brainstorm doesn't actually do much since he's got Ponder as well, and taking Ponder doesn't do much since he's got Brainstorm. Yeah. So I assume he didn't find a fetch, because otherwise he'd have fetched before casting this Ponder. Choose to not shuffle after not fetch. I take 6. Mandrills? Sure. Yeah, the reason I didn't block was because I want to be able to cast hogaak here. But I mean, we just hit 3 Narcomoebas, so it doesn't matter. We cast hogaak. Maybe we get dazed. Maybe we don't. So what's the best things we can eat here? We eat all of the artifacts, obviously. And then we eat all of the... I guess we eat all the lands, I don't know. Somewhat odd to say. Oh, this is pretty over. This is pretty over. This game's pretty done. I don't see there's any way he comes back from this. I named Daze though just because it was a guaranteed hit. I had no idea what the other cards in his hand is. Maybe Lightning Bolt was a marginally better name, but I'm not afraid of Lightning Bolt. He can't bolt us out here, and there's like no relevant things for him to Lightning Bolt here. So it does nothing. Taking the guaranteed Daze I think is more relevant for like if he has a Brainstorm or finds a Brainstorm, has like an extra card in hand. Come on, let's hit Dread Return. Come on, man! I just wanna do my thing. If I swing here, am I throwing the game? He chumps, he chumps, he bolts. If he has chump, chump, bolt, we actually don't kill him. So I'm just going to attack with these two, because neither of these are like good blocks for him. I'm going to name Lightning Bolt here, because that was sort of the only thing that made sense there. Given that he made that block. Like, he has a bolt, he wants to try and find 2 bolts, like somehow bolt me out of this game, but like I'm not going to let him do that because I'm not stupid. Yeah. We're just going through the motions at this point, he's not winning this game. Where's my Dread Return? I just want to cast Doomskar Titan. Why? The whole league was about playing Doomskar Titan. So far we've cast Doomskar Titan 0 times. That's just frustrating. It's just frustrating. And we're going to side out the Doomskar Titan now because it's Delver and it's like not a good card against Delver. It's not what the Doomskar Titan's for. Okay, I mean, you could just scoop instead of making pointless blocks. This hand does nothing, obviously, and to add insult to injury, we have 2 Narcomoebas. This hand's good. As I mentioned earlier, Putrid Imp's like the best card in the matchup, and it's got a Lion's Eye Diamond. Obviously, if we get like Force into Daze, into Wasteland, this is bad, but I mean, you can't beat every single card, right? That's not what we want to try and do. We just want to try and beat enough cards to win. A lot of smart players also, another reason why Putrid Imp's so good, a lot of people, I say smart players, a lot of people that think they're smart, think I'm not going to force a negation the LED. To be fair, I think if I'm in the, I think from the Delver's perspective and from the control perspective, I think it's such a bad matchup that if my opponent goes Lion's Eye Diamond and I have a force of negation, I would just hold the force of negation and hope that I can just like catch them off guard by like playing poorly and just playing into it. Or they like have a hand where they've got no choice but to play into it. But this is like the punish to that line. Like Putrid Imp after LED is just like the absolute punish to that line. It's like, okay, you let the LED resolve, and now I have a Putrid Imp to show for it, like, and an LED, and you can't use your force, and I'm gonna dredge, and you're not going to be able to stop me. It's just super painful for them. Second land's great, and the enabler's great. Okay, that's one of the two. Whoop, don't want to tap for blue, though maybe that makes him think that I got something. Force pitching Daze. Wow, I would not have done that. Again, just gonna pass here. Not gonna play into the. Not gonna do anything else here. If we get wastelanded, this is bad. He doesn't seem to have a wasteland. Him not doing anything just makes me think that he's got something. So I'm not going to try. Actually, maybe. Don't do this. Don't respond to this. But I actually will. If he's going to do that, I actually am going to crack this and pay for the spell piss. But never, ever, 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 ever respond to the City of Brass trigger. It's just a complete punt. Like, giving me the choice on whether I want to crack my LED or not is just like so bad for them. I'm going to name Brainstorm, I think. It's the scariest card here. Clothis is a card I will take. I don't think we lose to Clothis here, but there's like no point leaving the Clothis there, if you get me. Like, he'll cast Hooting Mandrills next turn, but again, I don't care. There's no card that he draws that allows him to stop us from hitting a looting if we hit looting off of this. Yeah. So the scariest thing is that they drew like Spell Pierce or something, and they Spell Pierce. And they Spell Pierce the looting. Or they've like top deck Surgical. That would like really suck. He actually has top deck Surgical. What an absolute gamer! What an absolute gamer! Shuffle Library into Surgical. Shuffle Library into Surgical off the top. All skill. All skill. Honestly, I don't think it matters this much. Like, if our dredges are like really bad, we can still lose here, but like, I'm not like too concerned. That was part of the reason why I took the Clothis as well, because if they top deck something good like that, that's a problem. I mean, I could like sandbag the LED to use for Ox, but I don't think that's worth it. I think just getting the guaranteed dredges here is better a lot of the time. Where are my Narcomoebas? I have 3 left in the deck. I would like to hit one. If he top decks another piece of graveyard hate here, we actually do lose, but I mean, what an absolute gamer if he does. What an absolute gamer if he does. Our odds are very high of hitting a Narcomoeba off this dredge. Okay, there we go. And this is just over now, because we get Hogaak. Hogaak's just like GG versus Delver. They actually, like, they can bounce it, but we can just cast it again. Well, maybe we should have targeted ourselves, but honestly it doesn't matter. That we're going to hit a, well, we're like almost guaranteed to hit another Grave Troll next dredge. And I mean, we wouldn't want to dredge 2 Grave Trolls here anyway. We've already got one in Graveyard. We go down to like 1 card left in deck. I don't think we'd want to do that here. What a terrible deck. I know. Who would play Rug Delver? A terrible deck. We're back. I don't want to swing with the zombies. I'm just going to swing with these two. We've only got one therapy left in deck, and we can't dredge that much next turn. So, like, I'm not going to play... I'm not going to, like, not lose my bridges here, if you get me. Easy game. Oh, it's Spatula of the Ages. He plays Enchantress, which is an absolutely terrible matchup without Ashen Rider, because you can't beat into Elephant Grass with a Doomskar Titan, based on the fact that he's like 90% on. Based on the fact he's like 90% on thing, I actually don't like this because it's like kind of slow. This is quicker. Obviously we need to find a dredger, but like this is just like doing so much more. Like the problem with that previous hand is if we don't draw an enabler and then we don't dredge into a looting effect, that hand's so slow. Like we just lose to like a reasonable Enchantress hand. Okay, good. We top deck a dredger, which is what we're looking for. We really needed that because if we didn't, we were in a bad spot. Top decking a Cabal Therapy is like actually a really big deal because it lets us go Cabal Therapy. Well, I mean, we can discard the... If we brick on dredges, we can discard that. We might just get like Rest in Peace here. I don't know if he's playing main deck Rest in Peace, but if he is, that's like really bad. Well, I expect this is just going to be Argothian Enchantress. I'm going to Cabal Therapy them. What's the best card to name? Elephant Grass is probably the card I'm most afraid of at like all times. Don't have it, but the other thing I would have named is like Wild Growth or something. Or like Utopia Sprawl, and he also doesn't have that. In Search of Greatness is not useful. Green Sun Zenith can represent something scary. Oath of Nissa can represent something scary. Carpet of Flowers is like an irrelevant cantrip. Destiny Spinner's like a decent card. I'm just gonna take all of the cantrip enchantments out of here, so all the ones that cost like CMC 1, because I don't want him to Elephant Grass me. And the easiest way to stop him from Elephant Grassing me is to take all of the cards that can potentially cantrip him into Elephant Grass out of his hand. I'm not going to Dread Return this turn because 1, I want him to think I have Ashen Rider in my deck even though I don't, and also 2, it almost guarantees that I can Doomskar Titan next turn and that's just content. Carpet of Flowers. Destiny Spinner. I'm just trying to take out everything that cantrips from his hand. Yeah, we just don't want him to top deck Elephant Grass, basically. Elephant Grass is like, I never want to see Elephant Grass. Never ever want to see Elephant Grass. Ever. Ah! Why do we not have Ashen Rider? Why? Why does he have to draw cantrip enchantment? Why? Oh my god. Oh my god. There's no way. Unless he like bricks on... Unless he like bricks on... Like I can't... I gotta represent that I'll eventually be able to attack 3 of the Elephant Grass. We gotta hope that he can't pay for this eventually. But if he ever hits... Like, yeah, if he keeps hitting these, like, there's no way. Yeah, I mean, if we had Ashen Rider, this game would have been over last turn. This is what I mean about playing cards like Flame-Kin Zealot, right? Like, you get punished in situations like this where you end up getting matched against Enchantress. Like, Enchantress is like a terrible matchup for Dredge. Like, really bad. But, like, if you have Ashen Rider game 1, generally they don't have any Grave Hate game 1. Like sometimes they have Ground Seal. But, yeah. What is this? What's he going to do? Copy Elephant Grass? Oh my god. He's got 2 Elephant Grasses. And a Scavenging Ooze? Oh no, just another Enchantress. He's got so much mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Third Elephant Grass. Where is my Doomskar Titan? I thought they stacked, I was just checking. Oh, that just becomes Elephant Grass forever? Oh, yeah, no way we can win. Okay. Yeah, if we'd have had Ashen Rider, we'd have hit it there and it would have been fine. But we can't beat that. Enchantress is a weird matchup in that this guy does run like some number of ley lines, but often they don't, and that makes it not very good. I'm not even sure Doomskar Titan's worth having, given that we need to answer ley lines. If it was Ashen Rider, I'd definitely want it, But Doomskar Titans just like doesn't solve the problem. Like we're not trying to like race them. I mean we can race them, but like you can't race elephant grass. Like if they go like turn 1 thing, turn 2 elephant grass, like I mean hypothetically if he could get the absolute nuts, but they could also just turn 0 leyliners, and that's more of a problem. So I think I just take out Doomskar Titan. This is good but terrible against Leyline. Also we got 2 Narcomoebas. I'm gonna mulligan it. This beats Leyline. He doesn't have Leyline, okay. But we have 2 enchantment dancers, which is better than nothing. We could have kept the second land there. Stern Dismissal is... Maybe we should have discarded the Mana Confluence there, but having the Curious Dismissal answers 2 things, so it's basically the same. I'm going to name Argothian Enchantress here. Like, it's like the main enabler of their deck. Keeping it off the board's quite important. The hell's Riptide Chimera? Return an enchantment you control to its owner's hand. Okay. Back to basics is a problem, but like not the end of the world. If he slams back to basics this turn, that kind of sucks. But like is like whatever. I'm more scared of him like, I don't know. Oh, that sucks. Okay, that's really good that we hit a Cabal Therapy there, because otherwise we were like dead to Elephant Grass. Mindbreak Trap is not a card that's good against Dredge. Dredge does not actually get up to that much storm count on the relevant spells. You might be able to hit a Cabal Therapy with it, but I mean by that point you're already lost. If you're getting Cabal Therapied by Dredge. Estrid's Invocation. Game's lagging. Do you just bounce the Utopia Sprawl? It feels like that's something you'd do, yeah. Let's hope we don't get elephant grassed off the top of the deck. That would be nice. That would be nice. Okay, we managed to get a game. We managed to get a game off it. I kind of like going fast on the play. Do something like this. I don't know. Why not? Why not? It's all a mess with no Ashen Rider. I'm terrified of elephant grass. I live in constant fear. This is why yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame that because this would otherwise be like a good matchup for it, but elephant grass just makes it like, yeah, yeah. That first hand I didn't especially like. It had no Dredger and 2 Narcomoebas. This is great. I top that. Just go for it, I think. Just jam. Times like this I'm like, damn, I wish I had a Ox in the deck, but because just to increase the Faithless Looting odds, but what can you do? Also bricking on, like we could have played that a bit slower, but I don't really like playing that slower particularly. I feel like just trying to jam there is better. Take Argothian Enchantress. Take Elephant Grass. That would be nice. Miri's Guile's a card. Do I just name Elephant Grass here? I think I do. Green Sun's End is a problem if it can find him Scavenging Ooze. Please don't find Scavenging Ooze. I hope he doesn't have Scavenging Ooze. I mean, we're not beating Scavenging Ooze. Yeah, that's not a card we're beating. As for the hand we kept, we could have bottomed Hogaak and kept a land there and played that a bit slower. But I'm not sure about that. What is this? Green Sun's X is 3? Surely you only want to do it for 2? Windswept Heath. What is this? I'm scared. Oh, I mean that makes complete sense in like a weird sort of way, doesn't it? Of course, even Enchantress is playing her. I love 2019 cards. Only hitting one of our. I mean, if we'd have done better, we could have cast Hogaak last turn, which would have been better. But oh wait, maybe it was worth having Dread Return in the deck just because we can Dread Return Wismare. I forget that that's a thing. That is a thing that you can do. If you can't find Ashen Rider, you can Dread Return Wismare as like a really bad Ashen Rider impression. Um, uh, I don't like my odds of blind naming the exact card in his hand, given that he. I mean, it could be Astrid's Invocation, right? Maybe that's the correct name. Maybe I just named that. That's like the only card that kind of makes sense. Okay, Serra Sanctum's horrifying. But the good thing is, he can't escape his Uro anytime soon. Like, he has actually no easy way to get enough cards in graveyard to feed this Uro. The worst thing is that he manages to Miri's Guile into a Elephant Grass. Yeah, I should have left Dread Return in the deck, actually, thinking about it. Just to deal with... What is this? Oh, Destiny Spinner. Yeah, that can animate his lands and block, I guess. Ha, that's smart. Exiles a bridge. That's cute. Please quit cantripping into more and more enchantments. Ugh, that's annoying. Yeah, that was really smart, animating the land and then sacking it. That was really heads up play. This guy's like a really good Enchantress player. Maybe attacking there with the zombies wasn't worth it, but the reality is next turn he'll have mana to animate things to block. And they'll be big. They'll be bigger than Hogaak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they'll be Hogaak sized. Not good. Also, you can just bounce Hogaak with Caracas. So I thought I'd just get in with the damage there while I could. I think I won't return Icarid next turn. It depends how much open mana he leaves after he's done with this turn. Maybe I should have played this a bit slower than I did. Elephant Grass is like actually a good game. Well, no, it's not a good game. We can draw an answer, but it's like super hard to do that. Yeah, I'm just gonna GG there. I can't beat 2 Elephant Grass. Yeah, we definitely won that. We definitely won that game one, if we had Ashen Rider, 100%. I mean, it's hard to tell whether we'd have won game two or not if we were in the draw, and we could have sideboarded a bit differently than we did. But yeah, it is what it is. Unkeepable. I mean, on the draw, it's really close. Because if we draw a third land, this is fine. If we draw another enabler, this is fine. This is bad if they go days into Wasteland. I'm going to mulligan it. It's close. Unkeepable. There we go. That's why we multi 4, guys. 1, 2, 3. There's an argument to be made that maybe keeping a second LED is actually better than keeping a breakthrough here, because if they force the LED, yeah, I think I will actually. Oh, I stacked that all wrong, but it doesn't matter. Oh, it's bug hogaak. Okay. Whether I crack Lion's Eye Diamond here in upkeep is going to maybe keeping this was a pump. I don't know. Whether I crack this now is going to depend on what my opponent does this turn. But I feel like just keeping a hand that's just like stone cold to force isn't very good. That looting breakthrough hand would have been really good versus this deck. But we could have also been against the 3/4 Delver hands, in which case this hand would be way better. Altar of Dementia now. I think that somewhat forces my hand on what I'm trying to do here. I think that somewhat forces me to just try and go off this turn. I mean, if we'd have tried to go off turn one, we'd have bricked on dredges anyway, so it's possible we could have hit a looting in the next few cards after. It's not guaranteed it would have been ruined. Yeah, we wouldn't have done anything. So there's Doomskar Titan. Didn't hit any Narcomoebas, which sucks. But we can potentially try and kill with a Doomskar Titan next turn if we get lucky. Are you feeling lucky? Though having an Altar of Dementia in play somewhat makes trying to kill with a Doomskar Titan borderline impossible. I think more likely what happens is that we just get killed next turn by him milling us out. Whoops. I mean, he could have a hand that's just like a bunch of nonsense, right? His hand could just be like lands, Vengevines, Bridge from Belows. Okay, no, it's not. His hand's not that at all. Cast Gravecrawler, sack Gravecrawler. No, you should have played Gravecrawler first, right? Play Gravecrawler. Oh, I guess if you're gonna play Dryad Arbor, then that makes sense to do it like this. Cast Hogaak, sack Hogaak, hope to hit some bridges, sack, recast Hogaak, kill me. This isn't rocket science. Hogaak's not super complicated to play. I'll pop out both the graveyards. But yeah, like I feel like we're like 80% dead here. Unless he's got like 2 bridges in hand, in which case maybe we're not. No bridges. God bless America. Yeah, if he'd have cast Gravecrawler from graveyard, cast Hogaak off of those 2, then he could have sacked Hogaak. I mean, maybe the only land his hand is Dryad. Maybe the only land he has is Dryad Arbor. But if he'd have done that, then he could have played the Dryad Arbor, got that Bloodghast, and then use Bloodghast and Dryad Arbor to cast Hogaak again, and then try this again. Yeah, I've not played loads of Hogaak, but I played like a little bit of Hogaak. I played like enough Hogaak to know the lines. Right here I'd sack the Stitcher Supplier to the Altar of Dementia. Try and hit another bridge. And then if you do hit another bridge, you can sack Dryad Arbor and cast Hogaak and then win. But apparently our opponent does not wish to win. To be fair, it's somewhat difficult for us to kill here, even with Doomskar. If we had an Ashen Rider, we could Ashen Rider Altar of Dementia here, and that would be much better than being unable to kill because Altar of Dementia sacks the bridges. I mean, if he doesn't sack anything in response to this, we win, right? But he is going to. So what can you do? Is it better even then to swing with? Oh, I think. Oh wait, do we still kill? I don't think we quite still kill. But if we keep the Icarid around, we can do a bunch of damage here. I think I will. We lose a blocker, but like we're kind of just dead to the mill combo. That's what I'm more afraid of. Maybe he won't notice. He's been doing like suboptimal lines so far. Well, suboptimal from what I can see from my side, but I obviously don't have perfect information. So maybe he's actually not making suboptimal lines. Maybe he's making correct lines, but they look incorrect from this side. So, but he doesn't miss it anyway because it's not complicated to not miss it. Maybe keeping the Malcolm around was better, but I don't think so. This bashes him for 4, Narcomoeba would bash him for 2, then 1 next turn, but it also represents like a blocker. This isn't even lethal now. Like, he can just take this all, but I think he'll block with Hedron Crab, yeah. That makes sense, but this is somewhat good in that he blocks. I mean, this isn't better than Ashen Rider, exile your Altar of Dementia, exile something else. That's like actually the best thing that we could have here, but we don't have access to Ashen Rider because we're playing Doomskar Titan. But yeah, I expect we just die here. Cast Hogaak, sack Hogaak, hit a bridge. Like, the odds of hitting bridge are so high here. I really don't believe that we're not dead. Having an Ashen Rider here would mean that we could get rid of Ultra Dimension, then we'd have a 5/5 flyer. Like, we wouldn't have been able to swing in, but we can, like, block and, like, do stuff. Yeah. But we did manage to return Doomskar Titan, which is the first time this league, and I'm very happy because I'd have just sacked this whole recording if I hadn't returned Doomskar Titan once in the entire league. I'd have been like, this was a complete waste of time. I didn't even return it once. Why did I bother spending all my time filming this? But we did return Doomskar Titan, and it sucked. It sucked. It really sucked. We're so dead. We're so dead. He can cast Hogaak, like, he can literally just mill his whole deck. Unless his hand's like 3 bridges and he's got no other bridges. We've got to be dead here, right? He could probably just mill us out naturally. He could just go Hogaak, mill us 16, cast Hogaak again. So Hogaak 16, return Vengevine 4. Four, that's 20, 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 7, that's 27 cards. Like, he could do 27 on board right now without doing anything. That's not, oh, there we go. There's an ultra, there's a bridge from below. Yeah, we are so dead. But I'm not going to scoop just in case he doesn't see it, but like, yeah, we are like unbelievably dead. Unbelievably dead. So dead. Bro, I'm dead. Just mill me out. Just mill me out. Why are you tormenting me? Just mill me out. He's not even playing slow to do anything cute. He's not like holding priority after like casting Hogaaks or anything. He's just playing slow because he's just playing slow. This has to be lethal, dude. Just kill me. Just put me out of my misery. Who's he pointing this at? Himself still. Himself still. Why are you still pointing this at yourself? I'm just scooping it up. This is not it. Let's get this out of the deck. We don't want this against we need 2 Leyline of the Voids, take out 2. I like bringing in all the Leyline answers, bringing in all the Leylines. 3 Icarids is fine, you don't need 4. if we had more ley lines, I'd cut the Cavalry Study, bring in a Putriment, cut a Golgari Thug. I don't like going down below 4 Faithless Lootings plus at least another thing. I don't trim the breakthroughs. Maybe I should trim a breakthrough before trimming the studies, but I like having the breakthroughs. Breakthroughs are just like raw power in like a card. Yeah. I would like to play first. It answers leyline. It answers many ley lines, and it also goes off the turn after, potentially. I don't play out Lion's Eye Diamond because the chances of them having Force of Vigor are quite high. Like, yeah, they could blind therapy me, name Lion's Eye Diamond, and that would suck, but like in these post-board games, they are prioritizing trying to hit like answers to leyline. Yeah. So I could just go off here, but with just one Golgari Thug and 3 Dredges, I don't actually like our odds of winning the game. What I actually much prefer here is playing Mana Confluence and passing. We can't cast Narcomy, but if we wanted to, because it would prevent us from going off with Lion's Eye Diamond the turn after. The concern here is he just slams Ultra Dementia with a Bloodghast in the graveyard. However, we can Stern Dismissal bounce the Bloodghast to prevent him from eating our bridges, which is a very big deal here and makes this line like way less. I mean, I'd probably do this line anyway if I didn't have it, if I didn't have that, but it's not ideal. I will bounce that. And I will bounce that, and he's like, what is going on? Unsummon is a good card. Leyline of the Void is not a relevant card here, sadly, as much as I wish it was. We don't have a Ox in the deck, so there's no point cracking this for red. Well, that sucked. But I mean, that would have sucked last turn as well. So, what can you do? I mean, we could have slow rolled it a bit more there, but like, what would we have drawn? We'd have drawn Lion's Eye Diamond. Yeah, it wasn't ideal, but he can just hard cast his Leyline next turn, so like, we're like really in a bad spot. Really in a bad spot. Yeah, if he casts Leyline here, I think I'll just scoop. I mean, we could potentially... how many answers to Leyline? We've got one Wismare left in the deck. Spooky. Yeah, this is the problem with the bounce spells. I'm not going to scoop here, but... Yeah, I mean, we could have slow rolled that even more than we were, but I don't like... I feel like 2 lands are odds of not bricking on dredges or like hitting a looting soon enough are like decent enough in that spot. Like as it stands, we just like dredge nothing. Didn't even hit a Narcomoeba. So like obviously that's terrible. But I feel like if we keep we could keep waiting, but then if we're in a situation where they have 4 lands in play and then we try and go off and then we brick anyway, that's like equally terrible. Yeah. And we'd have been like being beaten down by Bloodghasts as well. Oh wait, he's played second Leyline. We actually don't have a way to answer 2 Leylines, so I'm just going to scoop it up. Ugh, a disappointing league. A disappointing league. Those were 2 games where Doomskar Titan was actively bad compared to an Ashen Rider, like game-losingly bad. I feel like we'd have actually won that game 1 against Hogaak if we had Ashen Rider exile their altar there. I feel like the opponent could have actually just killed us there and wouldn't have had to have passed. But if we did have Ashen Rider there, we could have took the altar and not died. And I think we'd have won by just beating him with an Ashen Rider while we just leave everything else on blocks. Against Enchantress, maybe I sideboarded wrong. Maybe I should have actually brought in Dread Return because I could reanimate Wismare with it. But we lost game 1 because we didn't have an Ashen Rider. It was that simple. We beat Rug Delver. We lost to random scavenging who's double surgical stuff, and we lost game 1 in a very long fashion. Doomskar Titan was not relevant in any of these matchups. It was actively bad in these 2 matchups. What can we say? Flame-Kin Zealot's still not a good card, guys. I'm sorry to tell you. I know it feels nice to kill people with Flame-Kin Zealot. I know it makes you feel warm and fuzzy and satisfied because you get to be like, wow, I killed someone turn 1. They didn't even get to play Magic. I'm going to let you in on a secret. It doesn't matter if your opponent gets to play Magic if they can't do anything. Doomsday has realised this. You don't need to kill on turn 1. I mean, Doomsday hypothetically can kill on turn 1, but like most lists, they need to have like basically the God Hand to be able to win on turn 1. They're more than happy to just go turn 1 Dark Ritual Doomsday, pass the turn, and your opponent can't do anything. They can make no relevant game actions that stop you from just winning because you've stacked a pile that beats anything that they could perceivably have that would stop you from winning on the next turn. They don't care. Dredge is the same thing. Dredge realised we don't need to kill on turn 1. It's rarely ever relevant. It's not a problem that comes up. Like maybe if you're against oops or spells, but you know there's another problem against oops or spells. Sometimes they're on the play, and you don't have any response to that. You don't get to kill them on turn 1. And you know, most of the time, if you are on the play and you get to the point where you could have returned a Doomskar Titan, you could have probably Cabal Therapied them like 3 times. And if you Cabal Therapy them 3 times, they're not winning anyway. Whether you have a Doomskar Titan or not, it doesn't matter. The Epic Storm plays slow games. They don't. I mean, they can kill on turn 1, but they don't always. They deliberately slow it down. Dredge doesn't need to kill on turn 1. To play this card, which is just a bricky card and isn't good, when you could be playing cards that actually beat things that out you, like, is more relevant. Like, you're more likely to try and play into going off turn 1 and brick because your dredges are bad, or you don't hit a looting off of the Cavalry Study Lion's Eye Diamond that you try and do, like we did in one of the games, and you just lose because of that. That's more likely to happen. You're better off just playing slightly slower and guaranteeing you see like the majority of your deck. And then if you have an Ashen Rider, that generally outs any permanent they have that they could be causing you a problem anyway. That's a better way of playing the game. You lose less games that way. Doomskar Titan's obviously an improvement over Flame-Kin Zealot. Don't get me wrong. If you want to play a card, maybe a metagame comes up where the ability to kill turn 1's like super relevant. If that happens, Doomskar Titan's fine. But as it stands, I think it's awful. I wouldn't play it. I'd never put it in a deck. And that's pretty much it. There's not really much else to say. That was an abysmal league. The league before I 5-0'd, I had a main deck Ashen Rider. Now, I'm not just going to say that was all because I had a main deck Ashen Rider, but I mean, we just saw we had a main deck Ashen Rider, and we had a main deck Ashen Rider, we'd have won 2 of those games that we lost. And then, like, the games that we lost were both game 1s as well. We shouldn't be losing game 1s. Now, you can say, well, if you had an Icarid and an Oxyvagonus instead, you wouldn't have won there anyway. And maybe that's true, maybe it's not. You'd have to go back and check. It's conceivable that if we actually had an Oxyvagonus or an Icarid in those situations, that might have actually won us the game. Certainly won us the game more than the Doomskar Titan did. Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know, you can pick up a foil Japanese one and leave it in your trade binder and look at it sometimes, hoping one day that it becomes a playable card. It won't, but you can hope. And yeah, that's pretty much all. Thanks for watching. Play Ashen Rider, not Doomskar Titan. That's pretty much all I'm going to say. Oh, do all of the YouTube algorithm stuff. Yeah, do that. Do that too.